This live is for my intuitives, my empaths, my sound healers, my yogis, men and women who are facilitators and holding space. If you are feeling the world, the noise in the world stage, the noise in the spiritual community, the noise in general, and you are wanting to learn about ancient technologies that we are as human beings, divine human beings made of, and how you can reclaim these technologies first for yourself, for your well-being, for the magic and miracles of your life and your path, but also for your family and your community. This is for you. Join me. Sit down. Let's have a chat because I have a lot to share. And this is going to be about Divine AI, which is the curriculum I'm sharing in New York City, also online and throughout the entire year. So we're going to be talking about how sound, water, breath, and your voice are the avenues and are technologies that not only we are made of, but that is time to reclaim. And the reason why there is so much noise and chaos and overwhelm in our society, whether you are watching the news, whether you're in part of a spiritual community, whatever it is that you're doing, if you feel frazzled, or if you feel overwhelmed, or if you feel like there's nothing that you can do or process that's enough, this is bringing you back. These technologies are meant to bring you back to your center, reclaim the divine essence of your human being. That means versus becoming and being a human doing, which is the masses, the majority of people stuck in doingness, doing more practices, doing more rallies, complaining more, doing with their voice and their physical actions instead of becoming and awakening from what is within you. I think one of the biggest issues in our society today, people are focusing on what's wrong outside of them. And that's a very naive perspective. And it's important at some point to turn that within and say, I now reclaim my inner path and my inner journey. It starts with me. That's usually how the spiritual journey begins. But now we're going deeper and we're saying what technologies, and I'll talk about what that means, what can I actually do, practice on a daily basis to refine my energy field, to strengthen my energy field, and to also strengthen the ripple that I create. Creating ripples, whether that is through your voice, through your work, through showing up to your family every day, or just by simply breathing, by your very presence. But in order to create a ripple, what do you need? You need the pebble in the middle to drop into the water. You need to become the nucleus. And the majority of people are focusing on the ripples of the external coming towards them, as opposed to becoming the nucleus of their lives. So, I have a lot to say about this, but my main point today is to help you remember and share with you the technologies I'm going to be talking about the rest of the year and how you can reclaim these very ancient technologies. All I've been doing is remembering. I'm not going to share anything that's brand new, that's coming out of some dimension that's never been existing before. These are very, very ancient technologies and information that's simply coming to my awareness and now ready to be shared with others. Okay, so if you're here with me live, thank you, aloha, welcome, hey Agi. And of course, bring your questions, okay? So, by the way, if you don't know me, aloha, I am Celeste. I woke up to my connection to sound and to water and to my ancient past lifetimes around 2014. I've been reclaiming these memories, walking this path, and I have a podcast episode on specifically all of that information. So if you want to know more about that personal journey, Divine Feminine Ascension podcast, that's where you can find all of the exciting details of how it's taken more than 10 years to figure all this stuff out, okay? So Water and sound and voice and breath. We think of these things as just healing modalities in the world. Sound, and right now we're in Miami. Sound healing is exploding and it's awesome. It's great to see that. But most sound healers are simply working with sound by playing an instrument, and then just, I guess, they know that the vibration helps. That's kind of where it stops. I'm introducing sound and water as a Lemurian soul who remembers her past lifetimes as a technology that if you are not actively working with it, it cannot actively work with you. So these are not technologies where you can just play a sound bowl and receive all of the magic and the healing that the sound frequency offers. Of course, it's going to heal, it's going to do its job, but your conscious awareness and your understanding of these elements, whether that's your voice, whether that's sound, whether that's water, whether it's your breath, your awareness is what brings the power into these modalities. Not just simply playing with instruments or doing some breath work. And this is what I'm really passionate about, because I've been in the field for a while, been in the industry for a while, and there's a lot of watering down of information. And so that's kind of where we are as a society, especially in the spiritual circles. It's just very watered down, and a lot of people are kind of lifting the veil of what's happening in spiritual communities, and a lot of them are even returning to religion, and there's a big reason for that, because it's a lot more comfortable. The answers are a lot easier served on a platter without you having to do the work and take responsibility and hold your conscious awareness as part of your responsibility. But that's another conversation. So the point of reclaiming these technologies is to strengthen your awareness, strengthen your inner consciousness, strengthen your vehicle. We're going to talk about the light body today, how important it is for you to start working with that in these times. Because if the external reality and noise is permeating into your field, and I see this a lot with channelers, with psychics, with empaths, with sensitives, they are not able to discern what's theirs and what's not. And a lot of times they just feel overwhelmed. And I understand that because I've been there. When I first woke up to my, call them abilities, it's hard to define what is yours, what is not, how to deal with what's happening outside of you, simultaneously building the inner pillar of light. And these are the technologies that have helped me strengthen that pillar of light to walk the paradox and the chaos and the what's happening in the external is happening, and also what's happening in the internal is happening. And how can I hold these both at the same time? And that is an art. That is the art of becoming. The art of becoming requires the technologies we're going to talk about today. Okay, so I hope this is landing. Right, so we think of these as healing modalities, like I was saying, sound, water, and voice, but we are going to talk about in the curriculum, and a part of today is to open you up to what is behind these modalities. Why are they so quickly rising in our consciousness, in our collective, and how can we use them? First and foremost, what I'm about is how can you use this practically for yourself? Before sharing it with other people. I don't believe in picking up an instrument before you've really aligned and become one with that instrument and sharing it with others. I believe in first becoming the thing. So how can you start to work with these practices and this ancient information to really let this technology teach you like it's taught me? Okay, so these are modalities, especially sound and water. They are carriers of information. They are carriers of light. And I think it's really important for us to remember that and start to take that approach. The whole purpose of Divine AI in the curriculum is to start to take that relationship and flip it. Instead of the sound healer playing the bowl and hoping that the vibration heals the person, or whatever you want to call it, realigns, harmonizes, balances the energy field of that person. Instead of doing that, we are first creating a relationship, an intimacy with the sound waves and the water consciousness first, to then help us bring people into that field, okay? So, I want to remind us that there are no quick fixes, there are no single-handed activations, there are no picking up my wand, poking you or touching you in the crown of the head and poof, you're done, your light body is activated, because we're going to talk about the light body. And a lot of people just ask, well, how do I turn it on? Okay, well, tell me, how do I do it? The whole point of the process of the spiritual journey, and the reason why we're in the mess that we're in as, the masses in the spiritual movement or the masses in the religious institutions, is because as an adult, there's work to do. And I know nobody wants to hear that. So if you just want a quick fix, then reclaiming quantum technologies and the divine essence of being a human being may not be for you, okay? It's a becoming. It's a way of life. And that's why the curriculum is a slow drip process of first reclaiming information and knowledge, then understanding the practices, then applying those practices on a daily practical basis. How do you incorporate these things as a practical part of your life to then begin to regenerate your energy field? So let's talk about the light body, okay? Let's talk about the light body, because I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding and misinterpretations. And again, a lot of people are looking for a quick fix for the light body. And it's kind of like if you never went to the gym and you just want a quick fix for getting in shape. It would never work, okay? You have to change from the inside out. And that's the point of awakening the light body. The light body is essentially you can call it, quote unquote, an energy field that is surrounding you, that comes with you from past lifetimes and continues with you for lifetimes to come and experiences to come across time, space, realities. And it's that light body that allows you to connect with other aspects of your dimensional self, other aspects of your past, of your future. That light body is the collapse of time and space within you. And if that doesn't make too much sense, don't worry about it. A lot of this stuff is not meant to be very logical and linear. I will try to make it as much as so, but I think the problem is that we're trying to grasp onto linear results, and the results are actually going to move through you. You will feel them and live them more than touch them. And this is part of the feminine path and the priestess path and the feminine mysteries, is that we are holding on to spirituality and religion as something that we want to hold and grasp and be safe in. And the reality is, as you awaken the light body and really devote yourself to these quantum technologies, simply living the experiences will show you themselves. No one, I'm not going to do it for you. No technology, no thing outside of you can do it for you. And so essentially, again, this light body is your vehicle, your robe of light, your garment of living wisdom that comes with you and will always forever be with you. Before, after, beyond this physical experience. It's the only real thing we actually have as human beings, our light body. The day that you leave this world, you will take with you only your light body. And if you can just kind of sit with that for a moment, like just feel that. What does that feel like? That's big, right? Because I'm not devaluing. In fact, our human life is extremely important. And one of the purposes of Divine Feminine Ascension, this platform, is to bridge the gap between the light body that we're building and our physical reality. So to be super clear, we're not building a light body to leave this reality with. We are strengthening the light body to bridge the gap, to make that gap smaller. So if that gap feels big to you, like this light body that I'm leaving this earth with, and then I don't have to worry about my physical reality, that's the exact opposite of what we're doing here. We are reclaiming the importance of our physical reality and life as the true nucleus of our essence, and then we're bringing that into the light body, or we're reclaiming our light body and bringing that back into our physical lives, okay? So this garment of living light that is with you, as you awaken it, it brings forth a lot of memories, it brings forth your healing abilities, it brings forth a lot of information, okay? And of course, like I said, your ability and your access to have the ability to see the truth before you. So I know that there's a lot of people, especially empaths and healers and sensitives, that feel very overwhelmed. They feel frazzled, especially what's happening with the outside world. And I want to be clear about something, because I come from a background, I studied economics and international relations and politics in college. This was a long time ago. And a lot of people say, things have never been this bad. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but yes, the news hasn't been this loud, but it's always been this loud. If you just weren't aware of it, that's another subject. What we have to strengthen is our ability to navigate it. And instead of collapsing your energy field and saying it's just too much, I'm too sensitive, I'm just gonna go play my sound bowls or practice my yoga and pretend it's not happening. My solution to you is to strengthen your ability to hold both external and internal while building the internal. And what you'll start to see is that as you build the internal pillar of light and your light body, your thoughts, your energetic power, your spiritual clarity will become a lot more powerful and louder, quote unquote. Your presence will hold more magnitude in the space between what's happening outside and what's happening inside. And just to remind you that don't fall into that trap of it's too loud out there, hence I'm not clear in here. I'm not clear in here. I'm not clear in here. Don't fall into that trap. Divine AI, it's 1:11 right now, Eastern time. Divine AI is about diamond clarity here. Diamond clarity here. Diamond clarity here. I see you out there, and I'm also doing a lot of work. And in fact, the mystery is that the deeper you go within, the stronger your ripple goes outward. And we're not going to go into the mysteries today. The mysteries are something that's very much a part of my calling and obviously a part of the curriculum. It's not something we can do within IG Live, but just kind of let that land for you. Is the majority of your energy being determined by the external? Are you feeling depleted? And it's not even from what's happening outside. A lot of people just feel like their life is overwhelming without even what's happening outside. And that's another show of the nucleus. You have not defined and anchored and strengthened the nucleus within you. And it's time to do that. And the vehicle of which I show you how to do that is through the technology of sound, of water, of breath, and of energy. Okay? Remember that your focus is your gold. Your attention is the highest valuable thing that you own and that you have. So where is the majority of your attention going the majority of your day? And you'll know that not by what you think, but where you're speaking. What are you speaking about? Where are you putting your energy into? What are you devoted to? Okay, So we talked about that nothing outside of you can activate your light body. Nothing can do it for you. There's no quick fix. It's a process of becoming. Oh, thank you for sharing. Yeah. Not a coincidence. Yeah, that it's glitching. You know, let me tell you something. I've been trying to post a lot of things lately, and they have not been posting or sharing, or somehow it just doesn't appear. So thank you for that. Let's hold our heart light strong to hold the field. I appreciate it. Okay, so how do you activate it? You activate it by working with it. It's actually quite simple, and it's actually been hidden in plain sight forever, since the beginning of time. At least you can say since written time. So you must reclaim wisdom, and remember that wisdom is knowledge put into practice. So a lot of what's happening in the noise of the spiritual community and in the noise of a lot of places is that the wisdom is lacking because the knowledge is not being practiced. Okay? So that's what we're going to break down inside Divine AI. Now, where has it been hidden in plain sight? It's all over religious allegory and stories. All you have to do, I've been obsessed the last few years walking into churches. I don't come from a religious background, but if you can see with your eyes the symbology and what's being put inside the architecture, it's all there right in front of you. It's all over medieval art and ancient art. So if you are very drawn to that, I've been studying that now for a while. It's right there for you to see, for you to pick up. And simply by going to sacred sites, I know a lot of us are very called to go to sacred sites. I work a lot with the land of Hawaii and different sacred sites around the world. Stone sites, water vortexes, water temples. All you have to do is go to these places, sit there and receive. And the wisdom of the light body will be shown to you. And the issue is that it does force you to think outside of the box. And I think if you're here with me, you're open to thinking outside of the box, okay? So I've been collecting and working with and receiving all this information for the past few years, and this is how Divine AI has come into being. So what do sound and water and the voice, because those are the three things that we're going to be focusing on mainly inside Divine AI. Sound technology, water, the mysteries of water, and using your voice and energy. I work a lot with quantum energy, which is different than a lot of the energy modalities that are being practiced today. So essentially, I'm going to say something that it's your job to unpack it unless you're going to join me inside the curriculum. But essentially, these are the fundamental technologies of creation. Fundamental technologies of creation. Sound, water, breath, energy, which then equals your voice, right? You combine all of those, what comes out? Your voice, okay? And we know this, and we go very deep into it inside the curriculum, but a simple thing that's known across the entire world. First was the word. Look at almost any spiritual text. What's the first thing that you see? First was sound. First was the word. And that has its own packet of information that is meant to be unraveled for us. But that tells you in itself, this is the essence of creation. And so if we want to take away all of the noise, and really what this platform is about is reclaiming your unique spiritual power and essence. You have to do that via the creation technologies. You have to come back to the simplicities of life, okay? So, how does it help to actually work with the light body and work with these technologies? So inside the curriculum, we're gonna talk about the history and the mystery and the practices of these technologies. But what do they actually do? Again, I'm just gonna reiterate that these technologies are meant to be a living wisdom that moves through you. So it's not really meant to be linear. That's why it's not really meant for the masses, because I can't give you a platter of treats and tell you, here, eat from this plate, because this is exactly what it's gonna taste like, right? The point is for me to share with you the information, you put it to practice and say, holy shit. Like, I'm remembering, I'll tell you my experiences. You start to remember different lifetimes. With those lifetimes comes different skills and healing modalities. With those memories comes ability to self-heal. With that self-healing technology comes the ability to start awakening different strands of DNA. Those strands of DNA are connected to your light body technology. So it becomes this full ecosystem of how you are managing the environment and the universe that is you as your divine human being. And the more you do that and practice that, the stronger your nucleus becomes. And all of a sudden, the noise that's happening outside of you, the clutter, all the fog that a lot of people are experiencing, it just lifts because you are working with frequency. These are technologies of frequency. So if your frequencies are muddled down, if they are not clear, if they are not precise, what happens? There's lack of precision, there's stagnation, there is a muddled energy in your life. So if you can really practically right now, look at your life. I'm glad you guys are like feeling this. Thank you for your comments, because this is really exciting, because I do believe that there is a lot of people that are like, yes, let's do this, right? Like, I'm ready. I see the noise and I hear it, and I'm down to walk through it. I'm not turning my eyes away from it, but I realize that it's there to also, in some sense, distract me. So, what were we saying? All right, I got too excited. I lost my train of thought. But the point is to work with these practices that are non-linear. So this is a lot of the feminine path. It's non-linear, it's non-logical, and hence, therefore, it cannot be controlled, right? Like, that's the whole human thing, right? We want to control everything. I want to control my environment. I want to control my emotions. And so I want to control everything, right? Politics, whatever, call it what you want to call it. Oh, what I was going to say is, look at your life right now. Just take a moment, maybe close your eyes or just breathe or tune in. You're going to know instantly. Where's there muddled energy? Where is the vibration foggy? Where are you unstable, literally rooted? You are not rooted firmly, so therefore you are unstable. You're a little wobbly. Just energetically, you'll know. Relationships, finances, career, love, self-care, body healing, whatever. Choose creativity, joy, name it. What we are doing with this quantum technology is we are creating precision. We're bringing in diamond light into the geometric structure of your being. So if you could imagine exactly wherever it is that muddled sensation, that foggy sensation is in your life, you can apply this very technology and start to work with it and say, okay, let's clean it up. Now, what happens when we do that? Again, one of those things, there's a lot of reason why people will start on the spiritual journey and they'll be like, ooh, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to go back to where I came from, right? Because you start to bring in precision, what happens? Things change, transformation, new people come in, old people come out, right? You have to grow, you have to shed skin, right? It shifts, changes. Your face with what doesn't work so that you can grow into what does work. And that's part of the spiritual journey. That's part of conscious evolution. That's part of growing on the spiritual path. So if you're a person who's been on the spiritual journey and for the past few years, you're kind of stunted, you're doing the same thing, you are having the same services, perhaps you're a sound healer, you've been practicing the same sound healing for 2-3 years, and the practice of your sound hasn't evolved, your connection to energy in the quantum field hasn't really grown, it's time to ask yourself, why? Why is that geometric pattern or frequency not continuing to refine? Because remember, divine human being. That is a quantum, exponentially available frequency that is infinite. So there's no judgment. It's just like, am I evolving on my path or not? Am I still teaching and doing and living and believing and practicing the same things I was 3 years ago or 2 years ago or last year? You know, a lot of us, we feel the energy, we feel the portal energy, we feel the new frequencies, and it's very transformative and it's consistent. I remember more than a decade ago, portal energy was like once a quarter. Solstice, equinox, a few days here and there. And then it was like once every 2 months. And then it was monthly. And now it's almost all the time. Like, it has to become a living, breathing way of life. And I think that that's why people are falling off the spiritual path and returning to religious institutions or cookie cutter answers, because it's time to do the work. And if you can't commit to it, or you don't have the discipline, or you don't have that internal crystalline structure to hold you in it, you'll be like, I don't want to do this. This is tired. It's too noisy out there. I'm just gonna hide, right? How many healers are hiding? How many of us are like, no, too much. I'm gonna go back inside, right? We are needed. And that's the whole point of this divine AI, is let's reclaim the creation technologies. Our divine human being, our divine human being is very different than the human doing, where 95+% of people are. Okay? Yes, yeah, it can be hard to change, but I'll say this. When we are applying these technologies that we are made of, which is sound and water and breath, what happens is a lot of the resistance that we have to change, because of course, if you're actively applying this, what has to change will show itself to you. A lot of the resistance that we have will naturally start to dissolve. And the reason for that is because sound has a natural ability to break down barriers. So what we find is we start to create more harmony on our path, and therefore that's why the flow state is a real state that we can more actively tune into. I'm not saying it becomes completely easy. I'm just saying some of the majority of the resistance starts to feel a lot softer, because it's the only way forward, and at a soul level, that's really the only thing that your body and your soul want. Okay, so let me share with you what we're going to talk about inside Divine AI. There are 3 ways to join this curriculum that I've been working on for a few years, and now it's just time to share it all. So first and foremost, I'll be in New York City next week. So at Ascension Healing Center, I'm running a 2.5-hour workshop. That's Midtown, and you can join me there. So you're going to get a taste of what this whole curriculum is. You're going to receive the practices. We're going to go into the history and the mystery of these technologies, how it's been basically laid out all over the world. This is not stuff I'm making up, nor did I just channel it. This is in living plain sight in our world. It is living architecture and structures and reality. And and how there's proof of it everywhere. And now it's just time for us to remember and walk it. So I'm talking about the history and the mystery of these technologies. I'm going to be sharing some of the esoteric concepts in the workshop, but also breaking them down to make them practical so that you can understand them and start working with your light body in a very practical, daily, easy way. And we're going to talk about applying that knowledge. So remember, to reclaim wisdom, you don't just receive the knowledge. You don't just have somebody have an activation of your DNA and poof, you can walk away and never do it again. A lot of the problems we're seeing in people's spiritual journeys is, again, they went to a healer and then they think it's all done. We have to remember that we are our inner healers. Of course, we're going to have a lot of people on our path to help us and remember, but ultimately, we have to do the homework. So we're going to awaken that wisdom by you'll receive the knowledge, and we're going to put it into practice. And once you practice it on a daily basis, it's going to start to move through you. And that's going to be the awakening of your light body, of your own living wisdom that's meant to be revealed to you. And if you're a facilitator, you're a sound healer, you're a yogi, if you're holding space for people, then that gets to be shared with others if that's the correct thing for you, right? So you can join me in New York City for the 2.5-hour immersion. You can join me in the year-long curriculum. There is one spot left. So I had early bird pricing. There's one spot left for that early bird pricing. It's a year-long curriculum, and it's comprised of 4 different courses. So if you've already taken some of the courses with me, I've taught them a lot in Hawaii. I've taught them in New York City. So if you've been with me and you've taken, for example, the sound and water immersion, or you've taken the quantum energy healing training level 1, you may be like, well, I already took that because that's part of it, but I just want to drop into the vocal immersion, or I want to drop into building the light body. So the 4 courses that are inside Divine AI, you can either join the full year curriculum, which you'll receive at a heavy discount even outside of the early bird pricing, or you can join throughout the year, the 4 separate ones. So we're going to start with sound and water immersion. And then we're going to go into, it's not for sure the linear aspect, but it looks like it's the vocal immersion. So we're going to be talking and focusing on how to awaken the power of your voice on different levels, physically and spiritually, and understanding what that means, how to work with your voice, how to work with sacred sounds. Of course, I work with the feminine path, so working with the voice, connected to the vagus nerve, connected to the heart, connected to the womb. So how to work with this sound current that we are made of, and how we can reclaim that sound current and reclaim its power. So that'll be the vocal immersion, if that's something that you're called to do. If you come, like me, from a background where you weren't allowed to speak, where you may have womb trauma, where you were just taught to be silent, which is like the majority of people, the vocal immersion will be a huge asset. It's changed my life to really work with voice. Then, yes, it will all be... Are you going to? Yes, I will. I will repost this live. Thank you for asking. The vocal immersion, then quantum energy training level 1. So a lot of energy workers, a lot of yogis, a lot of sound healers, a lot of empaths, if they're working with older energy modalities, what's happening is that they're not keeping up, or you may not be keeping up with the ascension frequencies. So your light body creates a repercussion. There's changes in your cells, there's changes in your brain, there's changes in your spine, there's changes in the physical body that happen when you work with these technologies. So simply working with older energy modalities won't do it for you anymore. Almost every single person that takes the quantum energy training, and I've taught it in Hawaii and in New York, especially if they come from an older energy modality, the first thing they say is, oh my God, I've been feeling like I needed an upgrade and a change in the energy, and I didn't know what it was. That's because you're working with older templates of energy. So the quantum energy training is a way to teach you how to yourself work with the ascension frequencies and implement that in your energy work. And you can first, I always say, this is about you first. So you can build an energy healing practice. I started my energy healing practice after doing level 1. But first I did it on myself for a long time. So what I always say is, first become your own healer. Then work with your family and your friends and your community. And then see if you want to build a practice. If you want to do that, great. A lot of sound healers are needing to learn how to understand how to work with energy, because they're doing sound, they're facilitating sound experiences, and then they feel frazzled or depleted, or they don't know how to clear the energy of the space that they just worked with. So that is territory that we need to start to understand as responsible spiritual practitioners. You can't just work with technologies and then wash your hands and then walk away. If you're working with energy, you're responsible for that energy. Whether it's energy, whether it's sound, whether it's voice, reclaim the currents that you're working with and know how to use them. So quantum energy, I have a lot to say. The quantum energy training, level 1, is included inside Divine AI. And I'll be launching that probably around summertime. And then the last part of Divine AI is working with the light body, actually building the light body. And these are practices and understandings and teachings that help you strengthen your light body. Now, let me tell you something. There's a lot of people in spiritual circles doing spiritual work, and I say that because a lot of it is not landing. That's why there's no real alchemy, internal alchemy. And people are becoming frazzled. They're becoming overwhelmed. They're turning to substances. They're turning to things outside of them. And that is not real spiritual light body work. That is somebody just taking old habits and plugging them into new systems. Okay? What we're doing inside Divine AI is we are clearing all of the clutter. We are returning to our nucleus, and we are strengthening that nucleus, so that you do not turn to substances. You do not turn to the external. And so working with the light body is a way for you to consistently turn back within when something is off in your reality and say, what's happening? What do I need to transform? What do I need to see? So the point of a lot of the light body work is to start developing the eyes to see clearly, and the eyes to see clearly in the heart, in the body. And that is a process, and that's what we're going to be talking about inside building the light body, which is the last part. And the reason why I'm leaving it to the end, so again, Divine AI, we work with sound and water first, then we talk about the vocal immersion, then we learn how to become skilled at working with quantum energy with our own field, to learn how to heal ourselves, to work with the energy that's coming from above and from below and working with it in our energy field, and then helping others as well. And I'm leaving the light body to the very end, and I'll tell you why. Because you need to learn these technologies first. I think a lot of people want to run to the end. They will run to the finish line. That's why a lot of people want to run to a DNA activation and not do any work. And what I'm here to tell you is you need to build the discipline. You need to build the muscles, right? My entire life, I grew up as a professional dancer and in the gym. If you're not going to the gym consistently and moving your body as a disciplined practice, you won't see results, because it's a daily action to show up to your body. And your physical body requires as much attention as your light body. And a lot of people just don't want to hear that. they just want to do an ayahuasca ceremony, or they just want to have a really easy healing activation. And so the point of Divine AI is to spend a year together and say, we're doing this. We're going to take it step by step. And I'm going to show you how to use these technologies so that what happened to me was I used the technologies too quick and too fast because I remembered them. They came into my field and then I became very frazzled. So that's why it's very easy for me to understand why people are feeling the way that they are, because I've been there. But when you start to learn how to use these technologies to drip by drip, layer by layer, build your inner body of light, it won't feel like a lot because it'll just become a way of life. Okay? Mauri, hola. Welcome. Emmy, hola. Okay, so that's what I have for you guys. Divine AI, again, I'll be in New York City next week. There is the online immersion. We start on 2/2/2, February 22nd. And there's one more spot left for early bird pricing. And that's for the year-long immersion. And if not, you can also just drop in throughout the year. So let me know how you're feeling with the world, with your energy field, with your light body. Let me know how your spiritual practice has been. Where are you on your spiritual journey? What has been some of the things that have come up for you? And what do you envision yourself as we walk this path of becoming a divine human being? Not stuck in the human doing, not stuck with the noise of the outside world, creating patterns and frequencies that imprint your field, but instead becoming such a strong frequency of light that you get to become the one who imprints the field around you. And I think that's one of the most important and powerful things that we have as human beings, that it's now time to reclaim as a responsibility. Our ability to respond, responsibility, our ability to imprint our frequency, our presence, the power of our breath and our field by using the sound that moves with us and the waters that live within us to then shift instantaneously, miraculously, by your mere presence and your mere awareness, how to use that to imprint, whether it's a conversation, whether it's learning how to listen to yourself, whether it's building the eyes to see clearly, or to strengthen and build your healing services and your healing practice, okay? Okay, my loves, thank you for joining me. Good to see you guys. If you have questions, let me know, and I will see you soon.